Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my channel. This is the original, the one and only SiloMan, coming to you from an underground launch control facility in a former Atlas F intercontinental ballistic missile base outside of Roswell, New Mexico, USA. Well, for the next roughly 18 minutes, I'll be taking you through some of the video we've just recently taken outside of one of the sites northeast of Roswell. This site is going to be up for sale, so if you'd like any information, please don't hesitate. On the screen, you'll see my telephone number. Don't hesitate to call or text. This is part of the 579th Strategic Missile Squadron, Site 3. This particular Atlas F base was also what we call the alternate command post, meaning that it had two HF antenna silos, which would allow much more communication, and also given that if Walker Air Force Base was ever knocked out, then at that point this site could take over and launch all of the other missiles. And of course, again, surrounding Roswell are 12 of these sites. What you're seeing right here is we're going around the silo cap area. You can see the silo there on the right. In the background there, you can see the entryway coming up on your left. What's not original is there's an old military magnesium trailer. You can see one of the towers that we put in. You may notice the radome or the nose cone there. It's over the top of the escape shaft to the launch control center. That's a radome that come off of a 747 years ago. It was given to me for my 40th birthday. You can see part of the vent shafts in the background. In the way far area in the back, you can see part of the original runway. There's a 2,200 foot strip that goes along with this property. We used to fly in quite a bit of all of our different airplanes into here. And you'll be able to see in a little while, we'll show you how you can get back there. Also, the UHF antenna base back there, we have a backup generator. You can see the comm manhole in the background. And you get a little closer view of the escape shaft area with the nose cone over it. You can see the one candy cane coming up there. That's the sewer vent for the launch control center. In the background, you'll see where the two power lines are and the panels themselves. That used to be the water cooling tower base. And typically that chilled the water, that cooled the water coming off the water chillers in the silo. Also the diesel generators on levels 5 and 6 of the silo. In this area right here that you're looking on towards originally held 5 water tanks for a total of 92,000 gallons worth of water. See the small concrete area there to your right is the Culminator site base. That's what allowed the guidance system to lock onto the North Star Polaris. You'll also notice in the far back end, you'll notice we have a secondary tower at this particular site. And we're just panning around towards the east. What this concrete base that you see right here is where the missile trailer would come up and lock into position. Then the silo doors would be opened, the launch platform would be raised to the surface, and then on the other side of that would be what we call just a giant cherry picker, and it would reach over and help guide the missile and put it straight up and down on the launch platform. The vents that you see right there, that's the fill and vent shaft next to the concrete area that you see there on your right. The first vent shaft you see here is the air exhaust shaft. That's all the original grading. And here we're coming onto the cap itself. You can see the two silo doors. Getting a closer look at the original grading that sat on top of the air exhaust shaft. These doors weighed 75 tons. As we're moving, panning around to the south now. The far end of the cap itself, you can see the grading. That was for the air intake shaft. And then again on the right, as we're coming around, would be the fill and vent shaft. Under these square concrete areas is what we call the pillow bearings to the silo door itself. And the shaft for that particular side of the silo door was 10 inch. So you can imagine how very, very large those bearings are if we were to remove that cover. These plates that you're seeing right here were originally used that in the event that the pneumatic rams couldn't lift the door up, these doors could be manually lifted up with cranes. Looking towards the east, coming around towards the south. As I said before, you can see these 4 little pads back here. That was where that cherry picker could be locked into place right there, so it wouldn't be moving as it reached across the top of the silo. And it, in essence, hooked onto the missile and just basically just corkscrewed all the way up to where it raised the missile and sat it on top of the launch platform. Or I should say hinged on top of the launch platform. Looking closer to the south. And then we're coming around to the west. Again, under there is the pillow bearing. And we're walking towards the air intake shaft. You'd go down roughly 20 feet there and then over to a tunnel moving to the west, where you would then come in contact with 2 very, very large blast valves that could be closed if ever the site sensed that there was a nearby nuclear explosion, anything like that. We had optics that could detect the flash, and then we also had ground sensors that could detect the ground moving, would automatically shut down all the blast valves to the silo itself. The manhole that you see there on the left, that's coming up from the bottom of the sump itself to the silo. Again, the opening for the fill and vent shaft, that goes down roughly 60 feet. And then the pad itself, the trucks with the liquid oxygen. This area would be just for all of your liquids and all of your gaseous side, non-hydrocarbon. That would have been done on the other side of the silo. And you can see there in the distance is the second of the high-frequency antenna silos. Again, since this site was the alternate command post, which typically means that it's the furthest away site. And then you can barely make out part of the runway there going on an angle. It lines up between 210 and 3. And again, as we're as we're panning over to the north, the one vent shaft that you see coming up with the ventilator, the whirlybird as I call them on top, the one on the left is the air intake, the one on the right is the air exhaust. And again, where the nose cone, array dome is, would be the escape shaft. The little concrete area that you're seeing coming up right here is what we call the communication manhole. And then behind it is just a temporary in-ground 550-gallon water tank. And that's the top of the communication manhole. In the background is the septic tank system that you can see back there. Then the drain field basically runs from north to south. The tower we put up. You can see where the backup generator is. That was the original UHF antenna base, or the ultra high frequency, what we call a torpedo antenna. And as we're coming around, that tower originally was not there. We had that tower put in, 20 years ago, 18. So you can see there's a microwave antenna on it. And then there's the secondary tower. You can see this there on the right. That old truck you see back there was originally an old drilling rig that could pull water pumps and things like that from the wells. Come around, you can get a little different shot of the ammo trailer. And you can see the entryway. The vent back there again is the air exhaust vent to the launch control center. Just from a little different angle. In the background here in this open area that is right here was where again those original 5 tanks for a total of 92,000 gallons were buried. Again panning towards the northeast, coming back around to the east. And again, that concrete area was the cooling tower base. As we're walking towards the south, again on the right, that's the vent for the sewer for the launch control center. That concrete area there to the left would have been the culminator pad itself for the guidance system. And walking towards the guidance for the culminator. A piece of plate steel that you see right there, when that was removed, there was originally a piece of glass that sat there. And there's about a 10-inch steel line that goes down on an angle for 105 feet, where it comes into what we call the culminator room that is basically built to the side of the concrete structure of the silo for the guidance system. This was originally the road that the truck carrying the missile would pull all the way up to, then back up to where it could then be offloaded and put on top of the launch platform. You can see where we're running a secondary electrical. In the background again is that secondary tower, 170 feet I believe. This one's already been signed off, just need to have the power company come out. We were doing a few different projects out here, so you have quite a bit of capability in terms of electrical out here. Meter base itself. There's Highway 70 in the background there. Looking to the east. Right at the edge over here as we're panning around, you can see where some of the cones are. In that particular area was where originally there was a 15,000 gallon, what we call the fuel, and then RP1, which was rocket propellant 1, and then there was a 15,000 gallon catchment tank. Walking towards that area right now. Where those original tanks were set. And of course they were buried, they were not above ground. And then again looking towards the south, coming around what we call the silo cap area. You can see the silo area to your right. Just coming into vision. And there you have it. Well, again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this. If you would, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Click that bell for updates. Give me a like if you would, and pass it on to a friend. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the comment area. We'll absolutely get back to you. I try to answer each and every question. And again, thank you.